I'm live. Uh, when I started this, I didn't know there was going to be so many people that messaged me saying I'm in the same boat. Uh, I'm over 50. I have no retirement plan, and I shouldn't say I have no retirement plan. I'm starting to change those things. It sounds like the soap just came off the wall in the shower. Uh, so broken scared, man. It's the second time in my life that I've had to admit I'm not really broken scared. Okay, it was a little bit of clickbait of a title. There was a time in my life I was broke, stone cold broke, eating out of dumpsters, living under the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's when I was broke. Um, and I didn't know how I was getting out of that. Um, why that's funny until reality sets in. I don't know how old you are. If you're like me at 50, something happens. I don't care about the trolls. I really don't, Eric. I'm not even going to talk about them. I'm not going to justify it. At the age of 50, something happened. All of a sudden, you wake up and you go, I've lived more. There's the chances of you living another 50 years are slim. Face reality. So you've lived more than half of your life, probably. I'm not here to make predictions about how long you're going to live. Um, and all of a sudden you go, damn, is this what I got to look forward to? That I'm going to work the rest of my life? I'm going to have to work until I'm 70 to just pay off the debt. Forget about saving for retirement. And Tanya says, I'm 51 and I get it. It's this shocking moment. I didn't have it when I went to bed at 49. Um, Eric says, I'd like to have a sit down conversation on this topic. Okay, Eric. I don't know what you mean by sit down, but I'll, I'll talk to anybody about anything. See, I'm 50 and I'm there. There are more people that are saying I'm 50 and I'm there. So what are we going to do? I mean, how do we go about it? For me, listen, I'm way ahead because I've been kind of putzing around with Dave Ramsey, knowing that I needed to change something, that doing the same things over and over again were just insanity. Um, I don't agree with Dave Ramsey on the credit cards. I don't agree with Dave Ramsey on debt. And somebody said to me this morning, I think Dave Ramsey talks to a much younger crowd who have their whole lives in front of them. Live like no one else so that in the future you can live like, well, for some of us, that future is coming quick. Um, Eric says, never too late to start. I agree 100%, and that's why I'm doing this series. Uh, I'm going to be open as much as I can about what I did, and what I'm doing, and what my plans are for the future. Guys, if we're reselling and we're saying, well, we're just gonna thrift for the rest of our lives and sell on eBay. If you're like me at 53, I'm a little overweight. I've slowed down a lot. I really don't want to be shipping every freaking day of my life so I can eat some dog food warmed up in an old pan. A swamp picker. Dave Ramsey talks about the Alpo recipe book. That's not my lifestyle. That's not what I want. Now, a lot of my debt came from my business when I didn't know better. Was was a lot of my debt is from my business. Hey guys, how are you? My business created a lot of my personal debt. When I couldn't pay for something, I was like, here's my credit card, use that. And I built my business on credit. I mean, the first item I bought to sell was on a credit card. Um, so I never, and in the car business, there was no such thing as a 401k. The military tried to tell you about savings, but nobody really talked to you about money. Dave Ramsey has some good ideas. I'm not arguing with that at all, but I don't know that they're perfect for people in my age group starting out. As much as I would like to pay off all my debt and then start saving, I think maybe I need to save and pay off my debt. A little of savings, a lot to paying off the debt, but I need to start building a savings. Guys, I started, I don't know, probably 3 years ago with paying off debt. There was no day I sat down and said, that's it, we're paying off the debt. There was no day like that. There was a time when I said, baby, we got to cut back on our spending. We can't be eating steaks every night. We need to stop at McDonald's and eat once in a while. And we started doing that. We started cutting back. And the cut back of money led to having extra money to put into paying off debt. So this month, I'm proud to say, by the end of the month, I will be I will be pretty much debt free. My last debt free payments are in November. Um, I believe in using 0% credit cards. I flipped a lot of debt on the 0% credit cards, then divided out the payment, and that's the payment. I'm making that payment on those credit cards over the length that I can have the 0%. Sorry, Dave Ramsey. That's how I'm doing it. That's my method. That worked for me. Guys, I'm going to start talking more about me than what you should be doing or what you could be doing. Seems like a lot of people feel that I talk down to people. So I'm going to talk about me, and I screwed up a lot. So for me, I had to pay down this debt in my own method. And I'm carrying some debt. My motorcycle has a payment on it. The interest rate is 2.9%. I feel that I get a better return on my money somewhere else than paying off that motorcycle. Um, if it came down to it, I could pay off that motorcycle. Dave Ramsey had me so convinced at one point that I considered selling my Rolex to pay off the motorcycle. It just didn't make sense to me. Um, in it to flip it, John, I'm only 1 year younger at 52. I have life insurance, but that's it. I'm happy you're back walking us through this. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to walk you through this, guys. Honestly, I there's some basics that people have to do. You have to spend less than you earn. You have to pay off your debt. How you pay off your debt is up to you. Dave Ramsey has a snowball system where you pay the smallest one and you take all that money and you apply it to the next one and you work your way through the debt. If you feel that works for you, that's fine. But the principles are all the people are the same. Dave Ramsey says, live below your means. He says, eat rice and beans. My ass ain't eating rice and beans unless I want rice and beans. If I eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it's because I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right? You have to pay off your debt, which I'm working on. You have to save for later in your life. No, you ain't getting a debt-free screen from me. You have to invest for your future. Guys, for years, I felt my business was my retirement. How many people, honestly, in the chat believe their business is their retirement plan? I do. I did. Up until very recently, I felt my business was my retirement plan. I would build something that would generate an income for years to come. and I would live on that income that was coming in the future years. How many people believe that? Linda Berry, I sent you a friend's request in Facebook so that I can try and get you into the group. I'm not sure why the link didn't work. It is the right link. I checked it and it worked for me. How many, honestly, how many people believe their business is what they're going to retire on? I know I did. I'm going to be the first one with my hand up. It may be possible. I'm very close to having a business where I can step back and other people can run it. But is it the reality? Or is it still the dream of doing it? I don't think it's possible. So now what do? I have to start saving for my future. And if the business continues, then I'm lucky. And it's extra. But to make it my retirement, man, I do not want to be going to a thrift store when I'm 65 going, I need enough money to flip so I can buy a can of soup. I do not want to be forced to do this. I enjoy doing this, so I don't want to be forced to do it. So I am a little scared about my retirement. I am a little scared about my retirement, guys, because I didn't plan. My wife is retired from teaching. She has a check that comes in monthly that she's able to depend on. So how have I gone about my plan? Well, I paid off my debt. Okay, I didn't do it the Dave Ramsey way. I kind of did, but I didn't. Um, what I did was, and I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you exactly how I did it. I got offers. I got an offer for 0% on a credit card for 24 months, I think it was, up to $28,000. I flipped as much money onto that credit card as I possibly could of my personal debt. I then figured out, and I did it from highest interest to lowest interest. So I then figured out that I had 23 payments that I could make to the credit card company at 0% interest. And if I paid X number of dollars at the end of that time period, it would be paid in full and I would have paid zero interest. And that's how I did it. And I have 2 payments left. And then I kind of snowballed the rest of it. If I had extra money, I applied it to the smallest credit card to get rid of that. It was not easy for me to do because Wyatt Earp says living within your means is very hard for Americans. Yes, and Lori and I had adjusted to eating steak and going out. We eat out on average 16 times a week, guys, and we did not change that to get to this point, and I don't plan on changing it in the future. I'll work another 10 years if I have to so that we can enjoy our lives the way we're enjoying them now. It's my plan. I can do that. So once the debt was paid off, except for the RV and the motorcycle, and I'm not hiding it. I have 2 more payments on this big credit card that I refinanced, which I could pay it off right now if I wanted to. I don't want to. At 0%, my money's earning me 1.25%. I make an extra $1.25 using their money. I'm going to use their money. And that's where Dave and I disagree. But my debt is paid off. My living expenses are a lot different. I cannot budget my living expenses, guys. I live in an RV. There's diesel fuel. One day my diesel fuel is $2.50 a gallon. Sometimes it's $4 a gallon. If it's $4 a gallon, Lori and I like McDonald's chicken nuggets and fries sometimes with a glass of courtesy water. We'll go out this morning for breakfast. We'll go to Carl's Jr. and we'll get a 2 for $4 sandwich. We each get one of the 2 for $4 sandwiches, and we ask for 2 courtesy waters. Okay, we do that because one, we need to drink water because we're both overweight and we need to work on that. But two, we don't want to spend the money on soda. We don't like soda, so we really don't want to spend money on a drink we don't like. So we made adjustments and we adjusted our plan to us so it works for my wife and I. But you have to have a plan that you get your debt. You have to get your budget under control and you got to get rid of your debt. Now, I wish I would have been saving a little money as I was paying off all this debt. I don't have an emergency fund. If something happens, I'm going to have to use one of my credit cards. That's how it is right now. I know Dave Ramsey wouldn't agree with that, and that's okay. If I had to cover an emergency, I have the credit to be able to do it, and I have the means to pay that credit card off. I am not out spending on these credit cards. I want you to understand that. You have to make some kind of plan, or at least I had to make some kind of plan of how I was going to get this debt off my shoulders. Then I got term life insurance. I took this from Dave Ramsey. I'm not going to lie. When I like Dave Ramsey, I like him. When I don't like him, I tell you I don't like him. Dave Ramsey said I needed life insurance, and more than likely, I needed a short-term policy to cover. Basically, what I'm trying to cover is the debt on the RV, and that Lori set up in some kind of living situation if something happens to me. If something happens to me, Lori has enough with the life insurance to pay off anything we owe money on and still be able to set up some kind of living situation for herself. She has told me that she does not want to live in the RV if I'm not here. She feels that she couldn't handle the maintenance of the RV, that she would rather be in a condo or a house or so. So I made sure that was possible. Do I have that life insurance now? No, I do not. I am overweight. I am enough overweight. I'm fat enough, fluffy enough, whatever the hell you want to call it. I eat well enough that they have to send a doctor out to examine me for my health before they give me life insurance. Now, when they leave here, I will have a temporary life insurance policy. That appointment is next Monday. I did get off my ass and start getting the life insurance. I didn't shop life insurance. I did not spend 2 weeks looking for the cheapest rate. I called a reputable company, AIG, American General Insurance, and said, I need life insurance. I'm fat. I want it for X dollars, and I want it for a 10-year period. He said, well, sir, you really need to look at 20-year. I said, I plan on being self-insured within 10 years. What happens if I'm not self-insured in 10 years? I can get another term life policy. It will cost me more money, but I can get another term life policy if I'm not self-insured. Self-insured means that I'm able to supply everything I need in my retirement. I believe I will be in that position in 10 years. So where am I now in my plan? Well, I'm a little unsure. I'm a little rocky on this part. So what am I doing? I'm stashing money. I tell my wife we're broke. I want to go shopping. You got $10. We're broke. We're not really broke where we don't have money, but we really don't have money to go out spending on shopping sprees at the moment. I'm working on that. Yeah, I am. I'm not going to put it all in. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to take all my money and then put it in savings so that Lori and I struggle. We're going to keep some of it for us to splurge. We are enjoying our life, guys. Steve, I appreciate that. I really do. Um, we're enjoying our life. My wife has a solid income. I'm paid very well by my business. I take profit yearly. It's not huge amounts, but I'm also scared. I talk about this all the time. You know, I'm putting together this information. And look, I'm gonna open up and show you. Okay? I started filling out the information. I am doing this. I'm not giving up. Guys, there's a lot that needs to be done. The problem is we all get caught up in the I'm going to call it the deer in headlight situation. When I first started thinking about how bad off my wife and I are for retirement, and she now you have to understand, she's retired, and she retired as I was thinking about how bad off we were in retirement, but I couldn't let her continue working that job. It was unsafe for her. I just didn't feel safe with my wife working there any longer. So when it came time, when she was eligible for retirement, she took it. Uh, I'll work two jobs than have her in an unsafe situation. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I put it out of my mind, and I went back to doing the same things I was always doing. And it finally hit me like a ton of bricks that I really needed to do something. you I had to do something, and that's when I started. And at first, it was only a little bit. I only took a couple $100 the first month and paid extra on a credit card. And I paid a little extra on the credit card the next month. And that one was gone. And then all of a sudden, I got an offer um, for the 0% credit card. And I took all the high interest credit cards and I rolled it onto that credit card, and I figured it out and said, okay, I'll take all this and I'll do this. And if I take an extra X number of dollars in pay per week, I can make this payment through so that I don't have to pay any interest on that 0% credit card. Dave Ramsey's thing about the 0% credit card, guys, is that you're going to get caught up in the trap. I had changed my mindset. Um, when I was when I was a when I first started going to AA, step one, you have to admit you have a problem. And basically, you have to admit you have a problem, and you have to start changing things. Well, I admitted I have a problem with credit cards, that my wife and I tend to spend a little overboard because we do very well and we feel that we're entitled to it after our upbringings of being so poor. We felt we were entitled to it. No, we weren't really entitled to it. We weren't saving like we should have been. So we've tightened our belts some. We didn't do like Dave. We didn't go to that rice and beans thing. Although there's been times in our lives we've had soup for dinner, right, baby? We've had soup for dinner. Um, I like peanut butter and jelly, so now I have peanut butter and jelly because I want to, not because I have to. So cheese quesadillas we've had. We've stretched food, but understand, guys, as we did this, we had a goal in mind, and we worked towards that goal. And when we fell off the wagon and we went on vacation and put it all on a credit card, we picked ourselves up and dusted ourselves off, and we started going back towards the goal that we originally set, which was to be out of debt and start saving for my retirement. My wife's retirement is pretty secure. So, uh, so that's where I'm at, guys. You really need to start thinking about your financial future. I could tell you what you should be doing, what I think you should be doing. That's not always the right thing. I want to get into um, some ETFs or EFTs through Vanguard. I want to try and time when I push the money in. I'm not trying to time the market. I'm just trying to time my buy um, based on things that always happen in the stock market. Will I put in a little at a time? Sure. I'm in a position where I'm going to be able to save more than the maximum allowed by law for my retirement. So I'll have to be putting some in taxable accounts. I, I will get advice, but before I get advice, I need to know for myself what I'm doing. Uh, I'm not looking to buy and sell EFTs. I'm not. The only thing I'm looking to do is save up for 3 or 4 months, and when something occurs, push all of it in and be done. It, Warren Buffett talks about this a lot. He just saves money, saves money, saves money, saves money, and when he feels it's the right time, he pushes. Um, Eric, I understand what you're saying. Eric says, I know you're going to do it your way, but don't try timing it. Actually, there are some of my investments will not be timed. There's going to be some that I do time. Um, and I know that you believe that you can't time the market. I totally disagree. You can time the market. Um, and there's a reason why I believe that you can time the market. Uh, and I'm not talking about saving for 5 years and pushing in and then pulling out. I'm talking about timing the market to where I feel it's the best time to push all my money in. And by law, I have to put X number of dollars in every year for my retirement. So there is a portion that I'm not gambling with that's going to be taken out monthly that covers that. It's $7,000 right now that you can put away in an IRA. I will have that money withdrawn from my check on a weekly basis, put into an account, and once a month it will buy EFTs for whatever amount it can. I know I've already looked into it. Vanguard said I can set it up that way, and my money will sit in a money market, and once a month it'll make the purchase or however it works. But there is some that I'm going to be willing to gamble with, and it's because I'm later in life that I'm willing to take a gamble. I'm not going to disclose what my gamble is. Know that once I push into the market, I am not taking it out. This isn't me trying to time the market on buying and selling. This is just me timing the market for when I think is the best time for me to invest. This isn't about my retirement as well, guys. Please understand, for me, there's two different areas. One is I have to put $7,000 a year away. I'm allowed to put $7,000 a year away in an IRA, which I will be doing on a weekly withdrawal. And then there's my portfolio that I will be investing in, which I will be looking at a different way. Now, listen, if I find out that I didn't do it right, it's the way it is. I will change my how I do things, but I am a little bit of a risk taker, guys. So I won't mind taking a little bit of a spanking either. Here's motivation, folks. Today makes 26 years I have delivered our local paper in the Baltimore Sun. January makes 28 years with local state government. I will be retiring from both jobs in 2 years, 4 months. That's awesome, Steve. Awesome. I don't know how young you are, 28 plus 18. So you're pushing 50. Now, here's the thing about retirement, because I sold a piece of my business and I could have retired. Um, Looking back, there was a time in my life, my wife remembers, when I sold a big chunk of this company and I really didn't have to work. The business was running on autopilot. Um, I knew that, Eric. I wasn't trying to make more confusion. Um, there is there was a time in my life when I could have retired, and retirement sounds great until you get there. If you don't have a reason to retire, you're screwed. I sold a big piece of my business. I dropped my wife off at work the first Monday that I was retired, and I was excited. Right, baby? Yeah. You remember how excited I was? Oh, yeah. I called her at lunchtime, and she said, "So what did you do today?" I said, "I had a cup of coffee." Everything I had thought about retirement, I forgot that all the people in my circle had gotten up that morning and went to work, including my wife. So I couldn't go on a trip. I couldn't go to Florida and lay on the beach and drink a drink. I couldn't go on a cruise. Uh, my wife was still working. It was a beautiful day. I couldn't go for a ride on the motorcycle. All my friends were working. So it's not fun to go. I mean, it can be fun to ride your bike by yourself, but I like to ride with other people and you stop and have coffee, chit chat, make a day of it. I enjoy that. They were all working. I didn't like going to the restaurant and eating alone. I didn't like my life. It took me, I don't know, probably about 3 months of moping around. And I really moped before my wife said, "Would you please just go back and get a freaking job? Go back to work, build another business, build the business bigger, do something. Just this thing is driving me nuts." So I'm back to work. So I guess, guys, you need what is all this about? It's scary. If you're not set up for retirement, Steve Elmore has, I don't know what he put away from delivering the papers, but through the state he had to put retirement away, and he has retirement benefits, and he has a lot of things going for him. You get then what? What do you do? You know, for us that didn't do any of that, I haven't saved a dollar from my retirement. This is what I got, guys. I got a Rolex, a gold Rolex, that is worth less than I paid for it, probably because gold prices have plummeted since I bought it. Um, it's what do you do? It's scary for us. You're right. So what I'm suggesting is you start today. Just start at least thinking about it. What am I going to do? Tiffany A. Finders Keeper. Start today. If you're not debt free, look at your debt. At least look at it. At least admit that there's a problem with it if there's a problem with it. If you're like me, I owe $3,000 on a credit card right now. Oh no, I don't. Today's the 5th. I owe a couple $100 on that credit card now. You use your credit card. I use one credit card for everything. And at the end of the month, when the statement comes in, it's all taken out of my checking account. Pay the full amount. And I watch it. I'm sure that we don't overspend. Do we splurge? Yeah, we went out for steaks one night. We jumped on a riverboat one day. We splurge on things. We're entitled to. We both worked hard our lives. Okay? But that doesn't mean we can forget about what we need to do in the future. So, guys, please at least start thinking about it. Greg Taylor yelled Buffalo. Yeah, my wife likes Buffalo. She had a nice win 2 nights ago. Yesterday, she didn't do too well. The day before she won, she didn't do too well. Overall, we're well within what I expected to spend. Remember, we're gambling for 8 weeks, guys. We're at the casinos for 8 weeks. We were 3 weeks in Vegas and 5 weeks in Laughlin, and now she has us coming back for another 5 weeks between here and Vegas. So just do something. If you need to budget your money, figure out how to budget your money. My mom wants me to start a budget, and I'm going to try. It's very hard living in an RV to budget, guys. There's no fuel for a month. I'm not spending any money on fuel right now. I'm not. Next month, we're going to be all over God's creation. I may spend $1,200 in fuel. And I do take that into consideration when we're spending. I try to put, uh, Dave Ramsey calls it a sinking fund. I try to put so much away for each month of fuel. There's a yearly cost to it, but I didn't go back and look at all, how much fuel we spent in a year. I haven't kept track of how much we spend in eating out. I haven't looked back. Here's what I know. I live well. We live well below our means. Lori and I live well below our means. Our retirement account will be funded quickly. I built a healthy business. Steve says, John, you work hard so you can play hard. Yes, I do. I've always believed that. I work very hard so that I can play hard. I am a Harley fan, as you can see. I have a brand new Harley hanging on the back of the RV. But right now, it's time for my wife and I to get off our ass, and it's time for us to go to work. I know she's probably not too excited about it, but it's time for us to go to work. We have to go to Goodwill. Today's Dollar Day at Goodwill and go see what we can find. Guys, here's what I know. You need to start today to think about tomorrow. It's not going to happen overnight. Take a deep breath and go. Understand that it can be done still, but it's going to take a little more work than if you were 20. So, guys, I'm out here doing it. You can do it as well if you choose to. But for me, now I'm headed to Goodwill. I want to buy some beat up. I'm going to overpay for some DVDs. I'm looking for some really scratched up DVDs so that I can work on my machine. Guys, remember, God loves you. God bless. And you got to get off your ass and go to work. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.